Hello, welcome to my channel if you're new here. My name is Shaylee and I'm divorced, and I'm going to share with you my divorce survival tips. Don't get me wrong, I'm still surviving. I'm still very much in survival mode, but I'm learning each and every day, and I feel like when you go through something hard, the whole purpose of it is to help other people walk through that. That's how I view life. So while divorce is something that has been absolutely sucky, it's really a privilege and an honor to be able to come on here and share my experiences and connect with you in that way. By the way, my chair is super squeaky. If you clicked on this video, you are probably divorced or getting a divorce or thinking about getting a divorce, or you're just nosy and you wanted to hear the tips. That's fine too. But when I was looking for resources on YouTube, I could find basically nothing on there. It was really hard finding videos of women who have walked through this before that were sharing their journeys. So I knew that this would be a video that I'd want to do eventually. I want to start off by saying that I'm extremely fortunate because I have family here that I'm actually living with currently. When I left my marriage, I moved in with family. So I have a really good support system. Even aside from the family that took me in, I have other family members close by. And then I also have a really incredible group of friends, and community and support is everything. Everything. It's the biggest survival tip I have, because without support, without community, it's a very lonely and daunting experience. So if you're going through this and you don't have a community of people that you trust that you can talk to, I would encourage you to seek those people out. I think sometimes we think that people don't care about our lives or about our struggles or about the things we're going through, or maybe we look at the news and we're like, there's just terrible things going on in the world right now. My problems and my issues don't even compare. But that's not the way to look at it, because of course somebody might have it worse than you do, but that doesn't make your pain, your hurt, your suffering, your trauma any less. And I think most people, if you gave them the opportunity to be there for you and to support you and love you and help you, they would absolutely take that chance. So biggest survival tip is community. It's having the courage and the bravery and the vulnerability to share your story. And even if you're a private person and you're like, I don't want to announce my divorce publicly or come out with some of my thoughts publicly like you do, that's okay. Nobody's asking you to do that. But find that group of people that love you, that you can tell anything to, and it's a no judgment zone, because you're going to go through a lot of emotions and a lot of life changes as you come out of this death of divorce, and you're planted as something new, blooming into something beautiful. It's a rebirth. Divorce is a rebirth. Kind of funny, because I got divorced. My divorce was final on my birthday. And when I told my grandma, she told me, it's very fitting. It's a rebirth. And I've loved that ever since, because it's so true. When you become divorced, it's your time to really thrive. Some days when you wake up, you feel like death. It's like, for me, it was every day was a different emotion, right? Like some days I'd wake up and I would feel like totally free, unfazed. I felt like I could breathe. I was excited. I was ready for what the future has in store. And then some days I wake up and I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and I'm scared, and I don't have the money to afford to be a single mom, and what am I going to do? I don't know anything. I don't know what I'm gonna, it feels so overwhelming when we get into those days. And my advice when you're in those moments, if you're feeling sad, and you feel like you need to like cry and let it out, do it. Sit down, allow yourself 5 to 10 minutes to just like meditate, breathe, cry, journal. Oh my gosh, you guys, this journal, this is actually my second journal that I've had since getting a divorce. And as you can see, I'm already halfway through it and I filled up a whole other journal. So journaling has been such a lifesaver for me. It's allowed me to express every emotion, every feeling, anger, sadness, everything. Okay, it's all in this journal. And once I get it on the pages, I feel like I've been able to really process what I'm feeling and move forward in that. But I think oftentimes we try to suppress the feelings that we're feeling because they're uncomfortable in the moment where they hurt. Sometimes they're just so painful we don't want to think about them. But when you bury them down, they're going to come back up again. It's important to remember that. And it's sometimes when you bury them super far down, they clog up and mess all the other roots that are growing. Because like I said, divorce is a death, and you feel like you're buried in the ground for a little bit. But mindset is really, really important. If you wake up every day and you choose to reframe your mind, you choose to reframe how you're going to feel that day, it makes such a difference. And this is with anything in life, but especially when you're going through a divorce, because it feels like such a negative thing. And I know for me personally, I had a lot of people in my life saying, I'm so sorry to hear about your divorce. And it actually was more comforting to me when people said to me, congratulations, because they knew that I was finally trusting myself to make the decision that I had to make, which was not an easy decision. Nobody wants to get divorced. Nobody wants their kids to get split up. If you have children in the middle of it, like I do, nobody wants that. Nobody desires that. It just happens sometimes. So give yourself all the self-compassion. There's no order in this video. I'm just going off the cuff here. Self-compassion, you guys. I'm telling you, aside from journaling, I've also done a lot of video journaling, which is interesting, but I feel like I process things. I've always done this my whole life. I process things out loud. So sitting down in front of my cell phone, just propping up my cell phone or just holding it as I talk and just like releasing everything that I'm feeling that day. It's been so good. And then I transferred over to my computer and I have a folder on a hard drive where I put all of those videos that I have filmed during this whole process, and I put it in there and I put the date on there so I know what day I filmed that video. And sometimes I like to look back on some of those older videos because I've been doing this since I left my marriage, and I like to watch those videos and see how far I've grown, how far I've come, because sometimes it feels like the growth is so small. You know, it just feels like you're just clawing your way out, and you feel stuck some days, like some days you're just falling down and you're just like, I feel like I haven't made any progress. But with the video journals to myself, I'm able to look back and realize, no, I've actually come a really long way. And once again, being able to process that out loud helps me so much. It helps me so much. Like having that outlet is so healthy. In addition to that, I was in therapy for the first, I want to say 8 to 9 months after I left my marriage. And that was essential. I had to reframe my mind, but I also had to figure out, how can I move forward in life right now and make sure that I don't end up in another relationship like this one, or end up in another situation just like this one? Because it's fairly common when you get out of one relationship, especially when it's toxic, that you're going to try to find some way to fill that hole that's now there, because you're so used to playing this certain role, where you're a helper or a fixer, or you're trying to heal somebody or change somebody. And so when that is gone, you start looking around like, I have to fill this up. I have to fill this up. I went through this. It's like panicking, almost like I need to find somebody else that I can fill this up with. And therapy was key for me, because it was very much like, okay, why are we feeling this way? Let's figure it out. Let's figure it out together. And it was about March when I stopped going, just because I feel like I made leaps and bounds. And my therapist said to me, she's like, you can keep coming if you'd like to, but she's like, I don't think you have to. She says, I think that you have been able to find healthier ways to cope with your grief and your trauma. And you can use the tools that we've used here and that I've taught you. So journaling, video journaling, therapy. I have to process things out loud. Even this video right now is kind of processing the experience out loud, and it feels good. It feels good to, every time I talk about it, it feels good. And that's my other point of advice for surviving, is telling people your story. That kind of goes back to having that community. But when you start to tell people, especially if you're in a toxic relationship, if you start to really open up your heart and share with people what you've been going through and how you feel, it almost brings a sense of accountability to you. And for me, this experience has taught me to trust myself. I spent a lot of years of my life thinking that intuition was sinful, or intuition was not something that would benefit me in my life. And I've since started practicing listening more to my body, listening more to my intuition, and it has served me so well. And when you make those hard decisions for yourself, like leaving your marriage, or buying your first house by yourself after divorce, or just any decision really, it builds that muscle of like trust in yourself. And when you have trust in yourself, girl, you're unstoppable, truly. I want to touch on holidays, because I spent my first holiday without my kids last November. And for me, knowing that it was going to be something that was going to be hard for me to deal with, I asked my sister if we could go away together on a trip. I needed something that would like take my mind off of it, because I knew if I was by myself in my bedroom, I would be really, really sad. And that was not a position I wanted to put myself in. I'm not saying you have to like book a trip across the country or anything, but have something that's for you in those moments, especially those first holidays. I think this year with holidays, it's going to be a little bit easier for me, because I feel like every time I drop the kids off with their dad, it gets a little bit easier each time. But the first year, forget it. It's so tough. For me, it's been the hardest part of divorce, is not being around my kids all the time. And if you have children and you're going through this, I know you can relate to this. It's heartbreaking when you realize you're only going to be there for half their lives. But like I told you, you have to reframe your mind when you start to get into that hole. Because if I wanted to stay there, I easily could, but when I get sad and I start focusing on that, it's not serving me at all. It's making my healing journey a lot harder, because it's taking me a lot longer to process this. And it's not allowing me to be positive and to see it from a different angle, which is, this is now my season of life to decide who I am, to decide who I want to be and who I want to become. When you're single, you can be selfish, essentially. You can choose what you want to do with your life, and you don't have to get the approval or the support and have those long conversations with your partner when you want to try something new, you know? It's like you are a new woman. And that's super exciting because you get to figure it out as you go, and you get to figure out who you want to become and strive for that each and every day. Another word of advice: stay away from alcohol when you're by yourself. I learned that one the hard way. I've gone out with my friends a lot, and I've had a lot of fun moments where we had alcohol involved, but there was one time where I was super sad, just having a really terrible day. And I decided to go to the liquor store, get some alcohol, bring it back, and just drink in my room all night to numb the pain. And I don't drink very often, so for me to do that was alarming even to me. But in the moment, I was like, just let me do it. Let me do it. I'll figure it out as I go. Well, I did it. And yeah, it made it worse. It made everything worse. Alcohol doesn't numb anything. Substances are not going to help you get through this. If anything, they're just going to exaggerate it and make it worse. So know your limits with that as well, because when you're going through something hard or you're feeling depressed, our first reaction is to make that go away and to feel something happy. Try not to turn to substances for that, because they aren't going to solve anything. And kind of piggybacking off of that, I felt like when I left my marriage, I had no sense of humor, like zero. I just feel like I had no personality anymore. I didn't find anything funny. So I decided to start searching for funny things. I was purposefully looking for things that were funny, things that were making me laugh, because you need laughter in your life. So hang around those people that crack you up. Go to comedy clubs. I went to a comedy club show. Loved it. It was amazing. Watch a comedy special on Netflix. Find a comedian that you really jive with, because we don't all have the same sense of humor, right? So some comedians are like, no, not my cup of tea, right? But other comedians, they just make you laugh in all the best ways. The comedian for me was Trailer Trash Tammy. God, I love her. I love me some Chelsea Lynn. Okay, she's my favorite. But she got me through this. I swear to you, like, she helped me so much. And then I got to see her live, and it was so wonderful. So find reasons to laugh. Find things to get excited about. Plan things. Schedule things. Reward yourself with things. You know, pamper yourself. Anything that's going to get you still grounded. I'm not saying we're ignoring our emotions, because we're not. But to also know that this is temporary. The pain, the loneliness, the darkness is temporary. It's overwhelming. It feels like death. It's terrible. Okay, it is, and we all know it, but it's not gonna last forever. So try the hardest that you can to find something positive from this situation every day. Just try to find something, even if it's like the smallest of things, like you buy yourself a pair of fuzzy socks. It's a little joy, right? Or you go outside and you pick a flower and you smell it. Literally yesterday, I was walking down the street and I just found a bush of flowers and I sniffed them. I'm like, I just stopped and smelled flowers. It was wonderful. I don't typically do things like that, and I didn't in my marriage ever, but I've learned to really appreciate the small things. I think that's really what this has taught me. So was this video helpful at all? I hope it was. Let me know if it was down below. And if there's any other videos that you'd like me to do that are discussing divorce, let me know, because I just want to be here to help you guys get through whatever you're getting through. I'm a year in now, and I do feel like it's getting better. And I feel joy and I feel hope. And I didn't think I was going to get there. But I promise you that you will. Okay? Give yourself a huge hug. Look at yourself in the mirror and talk kindly to yourself. This is something I do every day because it helps me so much. It helps me remember that I'm my own best friend. People are gonna come and go out of my life constantly, but me, I'm always gonna be here for me. So the way that we treat ourselves is the most important relationship in our life. Love yourself right now because you need it. You need it. Okay? Hug again. Hug yourself again. It feels good. You're beautiful. You're wonderful. You're amazing. You're going to get through this. I have faith in you. I have hope in you. You will. Okay? Much love.